Hey all, Heber here. So a lot of you have been asking me for my review on Plymouth, and this is it. And don't forget to subscribe, like, share and all that stuff if you enjoy this video, guys. So I'll start out by letting you know that this is not a very good agile cruiser. Like, it's very agile, but just like with Belfast, and we'll get into that later, the armor just isn't there to pull off the stuff you need to be able to pull off with an agile build. I'll show you anyway. I'm running Mordorf here, which is Tenant really, with Soundwave and Baltimore, Ingenious, full speed ahead, yada yada, all this usual stuff, and fully packed. And of course, we have the usual stuff here, aiming systems and double rudder. And in the last slot, we have the improved reload. And a loadout, we have 4 heals, very nice. 3 sonars and 3 radars. And at 9.9 kilometers, just keep this in mind, this is better than Edinburgh, it only has 9. So with this build, 5.7 reload, 15 range, 2.2 rudder, that's 0.3 slower than Edinburgh, by the way. And the speed is also slower. Now, my initial fascination with this ship was because I thought we would be able to run smoke and radar at the same time, just like Tiger 59. And I did wonder, like, wow, that's gonna make that ship very, very overpowered. But as it turns out, you can't do that. You have to pick between smoke or radar, just like most of the other British cruisers, and that really makes this ship a lot less interesting for me, honestly. There's actually been quite a bit of confusion around whether you'll be able to, mount both consumables. But anyway, like you see, like, it's not that you can't do agile things in the Plymouth. It's just that once you get, into a tight spot or anything like that, you need better armor than what's on this thing here. And I believe this thing has 16mm armor, so you'll get citadeled by anything, just like a Minotaur. And as you can see, I mean, it's not a bad agile cruiser. It turns decent. It's pretty slow, actually. This is with a full agile, not a full speed build, but a full rudder build, which is almost a full speed build, and still only goes about 35 knots or something like that. But you can do agile things, and it's not as good as Edinburgh. Edinburgh has faster rudder, actually by a lot, and it's also about a knot faster. So again, it's just another nail in the coffin for Plymouth when it comes to agile builds. But of course, there are other things in the world than agile builds. I will, admit that. But we'll get to that later in the video. The only problem for me, not being able to play a cruiser in an agile playstyle, means that I probably won't play it that much because it's just going to be rather boring for me, honestly. And especially when I have alternatives like Edinburgh or Minotaur that you can play with an agile build and do really, really well in. Plymouth, it does average with an agile build, and there are much better builds to put on this ship here. So if you're thinking of buying this ship to put an agile build on it, I would definitely not do that. Then just pick up Edinburgh. I mean, it's free, it's in the tech tree, just grab that one. It's a much better agile cruiser. Trust me on that one, and I'll get into that later as well. Alright, I mean, I keep talking about the armor differences between Plymouth and Edinburgh, and I'll just show you here. This is Plymouth at the top and Belfast 43 at the bottom. And as you can see, well, they're pretty much the same. The armor is, well, let's just put it mildly, it's pretty bad. I mean, you're gonna get citadeled pretty much no matter what you do in these ships here. So compare that to Edinburgh here. And as you can see, it has 30mm armor the whole way around, and it's more agile than Plymouth. And yeah, it loses out a little bit on the offensive side, but really it's not too bad. And this is by far the better pick for an agile cruiser. It's one of the best agile cruisers in the game, while Plymouth is probably one of the worst. And I'll show you exactly why here in this video here. Now see, I'm in Plymouth here in this battle here, and I'm entering the cap. And of course, I'm going to wipe out the destroyer and the cruiser, and then it really should be, a matter of nothing really to just win this cap here and move on to the middle cap. But because I don't have the Edinburgh armor here. I only have the armor that Plymouth can, you know, dish up with, and it can withstand like destroyer fire. Yeah, okay, that's exactly not very useful. And you see, now I remove the destroyer, and that's the time that my battleship decides to say, oh, okay, now I don't want to go in anymore. And these are the situations where you need armor to, you know, well, pretty much make this play. And right now I'm like 50% done. I need to remove this battleship. The cruiser is not really a problem. But you see the battleship is pushing. And that is a problem in Plymouth because you just don't have the armor to, well, do anything, really. You do get one more torp per side than Edinburgh does, but in a situation like this, I would give anything for that 30mm bow, where I can just take a whole battleship salvo from this Massachusetts here, and it does nothing. And it would allow me, see, I'm trying to, you know, survive the first salvo here. It went pretty well. So I'm like in Edinburgh, I would just take one salvo. Well, like first I would fire torpedoes, then I would take one salvo on the bow, and then I would fire torpedoes from the other side, and that would take care of the Massachusetts, no problems at all. But I can't do that here. Like I cannot, like I don't have the armor to take a full battleship salvo, and you don't strictly need that in an Agile cruiser. But when you play them as aggressively as I do when I play my Edinburgh, for example, you will need it. And this happens a lot. I mean, it's not like Edinburgh or Minotaur. Right? Edinburgh has the armor to, you know, take care of these situations here. And Minotaur has enough torpedoes to make battleships think probably twice or 3 or 4 times before making a move like this. But Plymouth, nah, no one really cares. And it happens over and over. And like when you're alone on flank, just like this one here, and everyone has left and battleships are pushing, there's not much you can do. And like you have to be able to like get out of a situation like this victorious in an Agile cruiser. And that's why Plymouth is just better with a smoke build, really, where you can't be seen, just like in Belfast and Belfast 43. And in my opinion, that makes the ship boring. I mean, this is by no means a bad ship, don't get me wrong, but as an Agile cruiser, it's just not good. And that means that it falls into the category of less exciting cruisers for me. So that, you know, on top with the fact that you cannot run smoke and radar at the same time, well, I've lost pretty much all interest in the ship here, to be honest. Okay, so an Agile build is not possible. Well, it is possible, but it's not something I recommend. So what else can we do? Well, I say go with a Bruce Fraser if you want to go for a like damage-focused build. Or in this case here, go for a stealth radar build. I mean, that's more useful than the Agile build. And you need to have Mikawa on here, and I have Belly for a little bit better reload. And I have Piercer. You can go with the beyond range instead. That's your thing, doesn't really matter. And then I have torpedo range, and yeah, I guess we don't have HE shells. Then punch through, and fixate it, and down in the legendary one we have refill station here. So very aggressive, focused build here. And look, 3 heals, 2 sonars and 2 radars. See, the radar is 9.9 kilometer range again. That is better than Edinburgh, it's 9 kilometers. But you can 4.8 reload, 15 range. You can up the range if you pick the other perk, of course. And let's just have a look here at the torpedoes and the maneuverability and the concealment. Concealment is 9.7, so that's 200 meters less than your radar. And that gives you stealth radar. So yeah, this build works really well. I like it, but it's not my favorite. You can also switch it up a little bit here by putting Kuznetsov on and switching to beyond range, which will give you 17.5 kilometer range. And then I kept thinking that Plymouth felt slower than Edinburgh, so I decided to do a test here. And I believe it's Edinburgh at the bottom, but it doesn't really matter because like it does feel more sluggish, I still think, and perhaps it's the rudder that's 0.3 seconds slower. But I was just testing the acceleration here because I really felt that Plymouth just felt slower somehow. So in this test here, we're going from a standstill up to 35 knots, and then we're going, full reverse, and then we're gonna go to about 13 knots reverse, I believe, to see how long it will take to also stop going in reverse. But as you can see, going forward, the ships are exactly the same. The slight difference there is probably because I didn't press the buttons at the exact same time. But really, there is no difference here. It's nothing like Belfast. Belfast takes forever compared to these ships here. I haven't done a comparison there because I didn't think it was necessary, because everybody knows that Belfast just takes, well, forever. So here we go backwards, and again I want to see, I really feel like Plymouth is slower, especially going backwards. That's what I really wanted to test. But again, as you can see, there's really no difference. Like, again, perhaps Plymouth is a little bit faster actually, but yeah, no difference. Okay, so what's the best build for Plymouth then? And it is the usual turret build here, because I think you should go with smoke on the ship here. That's where it does its best work. You can just stay concealed, don't have to worry about the bad armor. And if you have turret at the highest level possible, here I have Kuznetsov on it here and Belfast as inspirations. And he is a destroyer commander, but it doesn't really matter. And you can get the perceptive skill with him as well, and he boosts your smokes by like an incredible amount. I can't believe this commander is not a premium commander actually. But he is definitely the guy to go for if you like British smoke builds on your cruisers and your destroyers for that matter. Look at this, smoke screen deployment time -50 and a smoke generator cooldown time -50. So, I mean, that means that, let's just have a look at the build on the ship here first. So I have concealment on the ship, really? 3 heals, 2 sonars and 4 smokes. And I mean, this is smoke build, so you want as many smokes as you can possibly get. And look at this, dispersion time of 122 seconds and a reload time of only 120 seconds. Meaning that once your smoke runs out, you can just pop the next smoke on and you will stay in smoke. That means that you can stay in smoke for a full 8 minutes. That's more than half the battle. Just think about that. With, like a 5-second reload and the amazing damage output of the ship here. I mean, this is the build to go for, definitely. And that's my opinion. So see you out there, guys.